If you're looking for information on all of the John Deere loader hookups, then stick around because this video is for you. What's up guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment, and if you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say the loader hookups, I'm talking about the very front here of the loader, which is actually going to be called our carrier. And the reason it's called a carrier is because it is what carries the implement that we're using on the front of this loader. So for instance, on this tractor, we did have the bucket attached. I went ahead and took that off so we could see and get a good visual of exactly what I'm talking about here. So within the John Deere lineup of tractors, we are going to have three main carriers or loader hookups. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. This is going to be the John Deere quick change carrier. Now this is going to be what we see standard on a lot of our smaller John Deere tractors. So whenever we're looking at a 1 series all the way up to a 4 series, this style of carrier is going to be what's standard. It is going to be a very easy system to be able to change out. As you can see here in the video, it takes just very short amount of time to undo this, with the 2 quick change locking pins being able to roll out from underneath of this bucket, go to the next implement and simply hook it on the top and then replace those pins, making this a very nice and user-friendly system here. Nice for those operators that are going to be changing out a lot of different implements, using a lot of different things. But there is going to be 2 different sizes of this carrier. So whenever we move from that 1 through 4 series and move up to the 5 series, this carrier actually gets just a little bit longer in length here to give a little more stoutness to that hookup. And the reason for that is once we move into that 5 series of machine, we're getting up into those higher horsepower ranges. So therefore the footprint of this hookup gets a little bit larger. So as you can see here on the picture of this implement, you can see there are 2 different sets of nubs there on that implement. One up top, which is going to be for our 1 through 4, and one further down towards the bottom, which is going to be for our 5 series. So as you can see, this just gives us a larger footprint to be able to handle those larger implements, also be able to handle those heavier loads, and also give more strength whenever we're using that hookup to push. Now the next style of carrier is going to be one that almost everybody is familiar with. There are tons of different brands of machines out there that use this hookup, and that is going to be the universal skid steer style hookup. Now as you can see here in the video, I do have this hookup on an actual skid steer. I didn't have one here on one of the tractors to show, but this is on a skid steer so you can see how that hooks up, how those pins lock that into place. Now this is going to be an electric style skid steer hookup, but this can also be in a manual style, which is often what you're going to see on a tractor. So whenever we have that manual style, it's going to be the same concept. We're going to have those slanted pieces that go into the implement on the top, and then at the bottom you're going to have 2 pins that push down through the bottom of that implement, except on a manual you'll have 2 levers here on top that we use to push down and lock that into place. Now this becomes an option in the John Deere lineup once we get to the 3 series tractors, moving into the 3R where we have a 3R loader. You can get that as an option on that machine. Also in the 4R loaders we can get that as an option. And then once again when we move into the 5 series tractors, you also have that option for that skid steer adapter. Now one thing that I have seen multiple times is that with these skid steer style adapters, we have to be careful on what types of machinery that we're using this on. So what I mean is we have to be careful on the implements that we are choosing to use if we do have that skid steer style hookup, because being as that is the universal hookup, it's going to fit many different options, many different attachments used for different things. We're talking about larger implements, smaller implements, different weights, different operating capacities. So we need to make sure that if we have that hookup on, we are paying attention to the weight that our loader can lift. also the weight of that actual implement, and also making sure that if we are using that, we are counterbalanced enough, and making sure that we're not overdoing it horsepower wise, because what we have seen also in the past is that sometimes once we get over that 100 horsepower range, which we can do when we get into the 5 series of tractors, is that if we're using that skid steer style plate or that skid steer style carrier to push things, sometimes our horsepower can overdo that carrier, so we want to make sure that we are being careful with that. Now, our third hookup style is going to be the global/Euro style hookup, and where we're generally going to see this is going to be in the 5 series tractors and above. So all the way up from our 5, 6, 7, 8 series tractors in those larger loaders, the 500 series loaders, 600 series loaders, and 700 series loaders. And the reason for this goes back to the horsepower that we were talking about before, and also the lifting capacity. So the global style hookup, as you can see here, is a lot beefier style hookup that has a totally different connection system that uses 2 vertical pins that go through thick welded on pieces on these buckets and attachments, and also larger top hooks that are going to hook into those different implements. This is just overall going to be a lot stronger, stouter hookup. You can see that it has a cross rail there at the top, whereas our quick change system does not, and it also is going to come in 2 different categories. So we're going to have the standard global Euro category. Then we'll also, when we get into those larger loaders like the 700 series loaders, we move up to a category 2 global hookup, which is going to be an even larger style of hookup with a larger footprint. Now, this is all made because of, like I said before with the skid steer style, we're talking about the different pressures that we're putting on the loader from pushing. We're also talking about lifting capacities, so needing more strength here at the front to be able to hold not only those implements, but whatever we may have on them when we're talking about moving large bales of hay, heavy pallets of different things that we might be doing on the farm, such as feed or whatever those things are. We need that larger, stronger hookup here in the front, and this is where we've seen the global carrier really excel at this, just because of the stout build and the nice locking mechanism of that vertical pin system. And it's also going to be, again, easy to use, as you can see right here, pulling this out with one hand, a pin system here, taking that loose, being able to hook up to those other implements. And the nice thing with the global is that you only have to get off of the tractor one time to hook this up. We'll pull that off, pull that pin out, take that off, then we go to pick up our other implement. Once we hook that up and rotate it back, that pin will actually lock into place. So very nice when we're talking about being on larger machines, not wanting to get on and off, as it can be a hassle. This is going to make that very quick and easy. Now, I know that was a lot of information really fast, so let's go ahead and break that down so we can be model specific on what type of models you're going to get with what carriers. Here we'll pull up a chart. So on our 1 and 2 series tractors in John Deere, you are only going to be available to get the quick change system from the factory. Now, once we move into the 3 series of tractors, now we can have the quick change system or the skid steer style hookup if we are looking at a 3R series loader. Now, the same thing is going to be true when we move to the 4 series of tractors. We're going to have the quick change system, and then also the option for the skid steer style hookup when we're in those 4R tractors. And then when we move to the 5 series of tractors, we're going to have all 3 options available. That's going to be the John Deere 5 series quick change, the skid steer style hookup, and the global/Euro hookup. Now, once we move up into the 6 series and 7 series, we're going to be looking at only the global style hookup, and depending on which size of loader here, we are going to be looking at either a category 1 or a category 2. Now, I know there are a couple different comments that's coming. One is going to be that John Deere makes a proprietary loader to make sure that you have to buy John Deere implements for that loader. And then the other one is going to be, well, I'm not going to buy this John Deere tractor because it has this type of loader hookup and I already have other style of hookup attachments. Well, just so you know, there are ways around that. There are actually front end carrier adapters for any style of hookup that you may already have, and those can also be purchased from your John Deere dealership. So let's say that you do go out and you buy one of these tractors that has the John Deere 1 through 4 quick change system. You can easily buy one of these adapters made by Frontier that will switch that to either the skid steer style hookup or the global, whatever you're trying to get yourself into. You can adapt from one carrier to the other, so you're never stuck with just the one carrier that you have here at the front. If you have multiple different implements, some that are John Deere hookup, some that are skid steer, you can get an adapter that will go back either way between those two. So if you have the skid steer style hookup on the front of your machine and you need to go back to the John Deere style, you can get that as well. Here's going to be a few pictures of those right down here where you can see what those look like, but all of them are going to be easily attached to the front of your loader, just like you would any of your other implements, to make a smooth and easy transition from one style of hookup to the other. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also guys, if you need any John Deere parts at all, make sure to go check us out at 247parts.com. And as always guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.